Welcome again, guys. George with virtual staging here. Today I'm showing you again Corona for virtual staging, and I know some of you have requested tutorials for SketchUp and V-Ray, 3ds Max and V-Ray, and many other stuff, and Blender as well. All of those tutorials are in the making. I'm listening to you guys, I'm reading your comments, I'm replying to the comments, but it takes time. As well, I'm preparing currently super cool, awesome tutorial for SketchUp and 360 degrees virtual staging. But as you may know by so far, none of the other people, or actually no one has ever done this, and I need time to make sure the system is working, because I don't want just to show something which is like halfway done. Hence it's taking some time. And today let's start with this really nice place, and what we are going to do is we are going to clean this space. Basically we are going to declutter the entire room. We're gonna remove all of those stuff with the help of virtual staging. Let's crack on. As you may know so far, one of the first steps in virtual staging with 3ds Max or any of the other softwares is to activate the perspective match, which is called perspective match in 3ds Max and may be called with any other names in the other softwares. So, oh wow, 3ds Max already guessed everything about this space. Okay, that's really interesting. That happens sometimes. Well, the reason why 3ds Max is almost like nailed all the vanishing lines is because my photo is perfectly straight. So I've already worked in Photoshop and I've done everything in Photoshop, so all the angles are straight, perpendicular and horizontals. Everything is there. And for you that might not be the case. If you're working with images which are really wonky or they're not really nice, you have to make sure they are at least straight on their verticals. Otherwise you will struggle to make a proper virtual staging. I know some of the photographers or some of you who are finding those images, that obviously the demo or the test images you're trying to learn virtual staging, they're not really good images. That's why you're struggling to learn virtual staging at the first instance. So make sure to straighten your images at least on the verticals. One of the main points which I've never talked about, or maybe I did talk about, you have to go and check one of the videos in my channel, or all of the videos if you haven't watched them. Just make sure to go and watch them. Here 3ds Max has done something really interesting, but always you have to make sure that those two pairs of lines, actually there are three pairs of lines, but the vertical lines, it applies to them as well. So I'm gonna correct myself. There are three pairs of lines, greens, reds and blues. So they have to have at least some distance between them, because this will help 3ds Max to identify the perspective of your image. Let's say this is the, I'm going to change my color here to green because I want to show you better. Let's say this green line is at the ceiling. I suppose the ceiling is straight here, and the second green line is at the floor, which is fine. We have some distance between those two lines, which is what we need. On the other side, we don't have that thing here with the red lines. I suppose 3ds Max has tried to, where is my red color? Let's say that's the red color here. 3ds Max has visually tried to identify any straight line edges or anything, but it could be this or that and this. I don't know. It's really weird. It never happened. Actually, it did happen a couple of times, but never happened so close. So this line typically should be here, over there. Why this is still green? This line should be here, at least where even though I'm struggling to find the floor line. So by doing this distance between those two lines, we provide 3ds Max enough data to find the perspective match, to find the ground and everything. But in this case, that cannot be found because it's obviously obstructed by tons of clothes and stuff. And that's why I suppose 3ds Max placed this line there, and I would place the line as well there because this is the only straight line which I can trust that could be a straight line, but not really. If you take a look here, this seems to be a straight line as well, so we can use that one. Why not? Let's go and try. Obviously it's almost the same line. Perfect. Then as soon as I'm ready, I suppose we have to a little bit adjust this ground grid. I'm not sure if you can see the ground grid, but there's no other way I can increase the visibility of the ground grid. So I'm going to visually find this, where this supposed line here should be, and let's say it's somewhere there, or maybe it is there. This step is crucial for your virtual staging. Basically, if you don't find the perfect balance between all the lines, and if you don't find where your real ground is inside the photo, everything in your virtual staging will look strange and different. And believe me, the human eye is perfectly capable of recognizing when something is different, even by 1 degree. So let's say this is fine for now, and I'm going to create a camera here by going to create camera as a standard camera view, and my camera is already created. And I'm going to lock this camera because I don't want to suddenly move the camera. But first, let's not actually, you have to lock your cameras, but not before placing a box previously, because you might have to tweak anything. And as you can see, I have to tweak it because the box looks straight, but the height of the room is like 158 centimeters, which is not correct. It should be 250 or maybe more. So I'm going to increase this height, and I will basically, not this one, I will basically lower the distance and try to readjust this to go where it was before. And I'll play more with the distance, and I'll play with the verticals here, and I want a perfect match. And I think this is almost close to what we need to see here. So now my verticals are okay, my room is okay, the box is where it should be, but can you notice this floorboard here, this skirting board? Basically this is a problem because I've taken the edge of the outside edge of the skirting board, but at the same time I'm aligning with the ceiling. Obviously those two are not in a straight line because the front and the back, they have at least 1 or 2 centimeters difference, or whatever that recalls to inches. And yeah, we have to pay attention to this. Luckily in 3ds Max and Photoshop, in the virtual staging world, everything is possible. So I'm going to leave that, and I'll show you how we can trick the system later. I will switch off the perspective match, and I'll return to my box, and then I'll go and lock everything. But because I'm really lazy and I've got this awesome CNI tool called Ignite, I'm going to lock the entire camera with just 1 click. So if I just exit and return to this, if I select my camera, you'll see everything's being locked by this script. It's just really cool script which is paid, but you don't have to have it saves time. I like to save time. And now I'm going to readjust this box by adding edit poly modifier, and I have this in a shortcut. But if you don't have this in a shortcut, and you surely don't have it because this is not by default in 3ds Max, just click on the modifier list, press E and find the edit poly. Not any of the others, but edit poly. Delete all of the frontal parts of this polygon and start readjusting this little fella here to match our room dimensions. As you can see, everything fits absolutely straight. So press shift and drag to extrude this, and press shift to drag. Well, this direction I have to pick this line here. Okay, and so far so good, but as you can notice, we have additional, basically the camera is just at the edge of the door frame, so I suppose we are seeing the door frame here or the wall, and we have to replicate this because I'm really lazy. I don't want to spend any time in Photoshop other than just adjusting the shadows in some color. I don't want to mask out anything or to delete anything, blah 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 blah. So what I'll do is I'll exit this, leaving the camera here, and I'll go in this view mode and I'll find what I need here. So basically I will try to see where this line goes. Obviously I can stop really this line here, and that will be fine over there. But in reality, because what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a room which resembles the reality at least a little bit. This is not there really, it's somewhere here. That's the reality, guys, and this should be aligned with this wall, I suppose. So when I enter back, I'll see that this wall's way in further from the camera, so obviously the room is more larger than what I see right now, and I have to move back until I see it aligns. So as you can see, I'm going to activate this. As you can see here, the wall is almost perfectly aligned, but obviously something is not straight. So my god, my photo is not straight. Okay, that's not really a problem because I can really readjust. If you click right mouse button on this, select and move, you will be given this move transform type tool where you can manually fix, adjust and type dimensions. And in my case, I want to move this Y axis a little bit that way, and as you can see, my verticals are not that vertical. What a shame. Don't tell anybody. Basically I'll find, you should not do this at home, guys, but because for the purpose of this tutorial I don't have time really to go back in Photoshop and fix this vertical line here, because the main part where it's really the important part of this image is vertical. I know it because I've done it already. This is not that important, but I want to match it, so I'm going to just readjust that 1 pixel at the bottom, as you can see, boop, and then I will go and readjust the pixel at the top to match this vertical here, boop. Okay, and it's almost there, almost. And I suppose maybe I'm not sure, in reality this wall actually is not that straight. Okay, and again, don't do this at home. You should never cheat in trick unless you are in a super emergent situation where you have to deliver those images in 1 minute. Yeah, believe me, it happens. So what we have at the end, by adjusting those verticals here, is just, as you can see, the wall is not straight. It looks like off the limits. It's fine for the purpose of this tutorial. It's not fine if you're doing it as a professional. And now we have to basically create our floor. And how do we create a floor? We just click on one of the edges and we drag all the way to the other. So basically I have my floor, I have my walls, and I have everything. I don't need anything behind the camera because nobody will see it. But as you can see, these misaligns. Sometimes, I'm not saying that it will happen, but sometimes you have to make sure that the floor extends a little bit beyond the camera, because I don't know, maybe it's a bug, maybe it's something, but there's strange light leaks sometimes happening. So my next step is to go to views and basically make sure I cast my default lines to see. I want to see this room properly, and I'm going to create this vertical line here to match the line of this window, and I'm going to take this and I'll remove that polygon there. And now I'm going to detach my floor. Yes, I will detach the floor because I will show you how you can fix this carpet It doesn't work in 100% of the projects, but it does work in at least 70 or 80% of the projects. I mean, where you can replace with the flow with the digital carpet if you have the sample of this carpet. Because I've done probably, I don't know, 5,000 virtual stagings with this carpet or similar carpet, where they're like a turf or like a tuft carpet, like a something like that. I have this texture already. I've done it. My texture is almost close to being seamless, and I will reapply this texture to the floor. And here is my slate material editor, and because I've got everything coded, I will just type VS shadow catcher and VS carpet. VS means for virtual staging, it's not V-Ray, so those are Corona materials, not V-Ray materials. This is my shadow catcher material already sorted. Like as I said, I like to be lazy and I like to save time from my life. I don't want to waste my time on virtual stagings, and that's why I'm trying to find really the best ways to manage and to shorten the time of making really nice professional virtual staging image. And I'm going to load this in that image at the background inside here, and I'm ready. I've loaded the image and I will reapply this to my environment tab. Where is my environment tab? Okay. Boom. Okay, now it's reapplied. You have to sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's a bug, you have to go there here in the environment mode, especially if you're using Corona bitmap, it will be like spherical. So if you try to render this, it will render basically a spherical image which does not represent the real the reality what you want to see there. So you have to make sure to it's set to screen, and as you can see it's perfectly aligned with what I need to see. And then I will select my walls because my floor is already separated from the walls, and I will reapply this shadow catcher material. Ta-da! And we have this. Make sure to basically compress the highlights and boost a little bit the contours. I know now it looks different, but if we re-render this, it will be back to the normal saturation and contrast for the image. This is because we have unchecked those 3 boxes here, and so far so good. Let me apply the carpet to the floor. Okay, and now we have a problem. First, the problem is the floor has not got any sort of UVW mapping, so I'll go and put some mapping over there. Luckily in virtual staging you don't have to know really the UVW mapping. Yeah, it's very simple, unless you want to become real professional, which you might become if you watch all of my videos. Go and start and watch them, basically sleep over in YouTube and watch my videos, and you will become professional virtual stager for sure. So if I render this, as you can see, I know I said it's perfectly seamless, but it's not seamless. I mean, obviously you can see it's not seamless, and let's leave that for now, and I'll return a little bit and fix this seamless problem. But first we need to make sure we have lights. But before we add lights, we have to lock the position of those basically elements here. Actually, oh, I've locked them already. Really? Yeah, maybe I must have clicked that element here, like this button, toggle lock and lock, because it's basically what it does is locks all of the movements, but I still can rotate this. So I want to I'm going to select everything in my scene and press it twice. So as you can see, it's unlocked now, and I will press it again and everything will be locked, so I cannot really rotate, move, scale, nothing. And this is what I want. And secondly, I will find the windows and basically I'll add a light there. Well, okay, I know why it is that. Okay, and this is the light I want to see, but we have a second light here, so I'm going to make sure to create a second light, which is a disk light, and it should be, why it's not happening? Oh, I've changed the first one. And I will recreate this basically to be a disc light, and now I know it's not a disc light, it's a sphere, but we need to create a disc light. And now my light has gone like way above. This is because this light probably is not there where I think it is. What happened here? Okay, I lost my camera for a second. I will click on this little circle and I'll see what happens. Okay, what do you want, guys, from this is actually, because I've snapped my light to the ceiling where the light is not, that's not really the location of the light, so I have to like lower it down, and this is where probably this light pendant is. The lampshade is somewhere there. And now if I look at the top view of my room, it's still not perfect, so it's somewhere there, and it has to be even lower. So yeah, I almost make sure to make the correct things. Okay, I'm going to open this Corona light lister. Basically it gives you a list of all the scatters. We don't have any scatters, we have only lights, and I'm going to exclude the light reflection refraction, yes, and directly, so we leave it bare bones. Later I might decide to turn on the reflections, because when some objects they have reflection, like you can see the reflection on them, it's more realistic. For now I'm going to turn it off. Let's try and re-render and see what happens. Okay, we have some light here. Obviously this light is way too bright. As you can see, outside is dark and gloomy, so I'm going to decrease this down to maybe 10 or 15. Let's say 15 is fine, because as you can see some brightness here on this carpet, but because our carpet is a different color, and we are going to change the color of the carpet right now by creating a Corona mix and plugging this to the bottom part. And I'm going to select the color of the carpet here, and I will play with some of those settings. I'll basically go and check whatever fits. Okay, I think this is the similar color, but in the mixed color basically it mixed too much. Basically I've lost the control and the visibility of my texture really, but I think, and that's still not good. Actually it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It colored everything. Or maybe multiply. No. Oh no. So yeah, minimum darken will work fine, and I'll make sure basically to leave a little bit to, yeah, actually what we can do here is we can plug another color correct map before the mix map, and we can darken a little bit this, because this is a little bit dark, and then we see those things here, and I'm going to click 1. Basically I'll return to 1, but because we've darkened this color now it changed back, and I think let's see in the mix if I can see anything. Yeah, basically what I'm seeing here is the bump map, but I want to see that map beyond. I mean, I want to see the default, the diffuse color of my map which I've used. So I'll continue checking those, how they will work. Well, you know guys, my final resort, if this doesn't work, I'm not saying it's a 100% solution. Sometimes you have to go in Photoshop and start readjusting the colors. Basically I can paint this texture in Photoshop to resemble this. Maybe it's the fastest way, but as this is tutorial for 3ds Max and Corona today, I'm not going to leave 3ds Max, so I'll sort out this problem inside 3ds Max alone. So basically what I'll do is I'll try to add a little bit color here by adjusting this temperature color here, and as you can see we have succeeded. Woohoo! So the next step is I will add another mix, and I'll plug this one here, and I'll plug the top basically maybe noise map. Boom. Or actually no, let's try something else. Let's try something really different. Where is my Corona? And let's try to use the UVW randomizer. Keep in mind, most of the things in 3ds Max can be solved in many different ways. So there is no really one solution for this. But what I've done is this basically randomizer will randomize any parts, any faces or polygons. So as you can see, each tile, but really we don't have tiles, so this is not going to work. But we can try to make it work by just doing this. I mean, I've scaled up the entire texture, so it scaled up the seamlessness of this. Actually, you know what, I'm going to leave this for now, because once we add all the furniture here, this will not really that much of a problem. So for you to make sure, yeah, when you've got something really which you can tile, use the UVW randomizer. Go and see in the Corona YouTube channel, they have explained this, and there are tons of people who have explained how this works. And I'm going to build my walls now. Actually, they've already built, but first I'll extract a line from the bottom of the walls, because I want to recreate this skirting board there. And I'm going to find and create a shape out of it, and this is my shape. So I'll click this and I will create my skirting board, which is here. This is the line. As you can see, this is the shape of my floor, and what I need now is to see what's the shape of this curtain board. Well, basically it's really simple. What I can do is really start drawing this curtain board here. I'll do something like that, and then I'll make sure it's vertical, and then will make the gizmo go at the bottom of this object, because I need it there. And I'll snap this to the floor, and I'll snap this to the wall. Oh, actually I've almost nailed it. Okay, and now I'll make it more thinner. Okay, I think this is fine. Actually, we have to put our gizmo over there, and for this I have another tool. Basically it's the same tool. This is actually all of those buttons in this plugin acts like a shortcuts for many of the buttons inside 3ds Max. For example, this one is exactly the same thing. Like if I go here and effect pivot only and blah 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 and real adjust this, with the difference that it has already presets. So I can do this, boom, and it will it will snap those the gizmo to all of the sides where I want to be, and boom, I want it there. So I want it a little bit higher. And I think what we have to press Ctrl A, select everything, and go and create corners, because we don't want to create busier curves. And I need to create another curve here, and basically I have a shortcuts for this. Mine is Ctrl C to refine. Basically when you click refine, it will create another vertex line in your shape. So I need this, and I'm going to do this basically, or maybe a little bit more. And I will create a fillet line here, which can be done if you select your vertices here on the spline and select a vertex, and then go and click fillet. Mine is Control Space, boop. As you can see, I've already done it. And I think it will be super cool, because I'm not really sure if this is the correct. Yeah, it looks okay. It looks yeah, I think it's a similar skeleton board. Okay, and now once I have it, because everything is super aligned and it's fine, you just press X and press sweep. You have to find the sweep option. If you don't have this, if you're working in an older 3ds Max version, basically you can select your shape, but you have to find the shape, not the polygons basically. And you have to go here and here, and then actually, you know what, I've never done it for a long time. Basically it's a modifier, and you just find sweep. Basically what it creates a shape out of your spline given on a based on a profile which you have given it. And this is what we'll do. I'll click use custom selection or section, doesn't matter. And as you can see, this transferred to my line, but now I have to play a little bit with this to find how it will be sitting. Bum. And I have my skirting board already delivered into a perfect shape. So I'm going to play a little bit with this, and voila, I have my skirting board. Yeah, isn't it cool? I know it's cool. It's super cool. So what the next step is, I'm going to create a material for it, which is really basic. It's just a chrome material with some AO plugged into the diffuse color and some white color and little bit of reflection and 0.7 glossiness. You have to apply this to the sweep modifier and job done. So we have replaced this, but as you can see, because the room is not really bright, and actually it is bright, but obviously this is an image and we are doing in everything is in 3D, so I can do this and basically until I burnt my scene, but because I know I've done it intentionally, basically sometimes when you use AO you have to decrease the distance because the occluded color now is set to 100 centimeters. This means any object within 100 centimeters from any edges will have black color, like faded black color, like gradient on top of it. As you can see, I've immediately decreased this and it's like really bright. Why I'm doing this? This is to provide a little bit of details to the overall perception of this. Basically, where my profile meets any other objects, it will have a little bit of dark black line, like in gradient type of thing. And because I'm really cool, I want for you to learn how this works really. I'll show you. I'll paint my occluded color in red and I'll increase this to 5 centimeters, and as you can see already how this is coloring everything in red, and that's the idea. So we want this to act like an additional extra shadow, like just to make it more bold, to stand out this. So I'm going to remove those 5 centimeters and I'll just decrease it to 0.5 or 0.3 or 0.2. I know you cannot really see the difference, but trust me, it is there. The human eye reads those things perfectly. And now I think actually it's a good idea to save my 3ds Max scene, because I don't want to 3ds Max to crash on me, and yeah, you know what happens. And I'm back. I've saved my 3ds Max file, and now we're going to replace our walls. For this to happen, obviously I've kept long enough this edit poly, but I have to basically remove it. I'm going to convert everything to editable poly, because I will reuse all of those parts to convert them to 3D walls. First, I will detach this part of the walls, because I don't want to really play with my shadows, because actually I'll show you why I have to detach the walls. Let's get my plaster material. Actually, 1 second, I have already plaster material which I have prepared because I'm lazy. So I'll just deliver this, and obviously we have to map, because I have a normal map, and as you can see, this normal map basically it looks like it resembles the plaster, and box is fine. I'll decrease this because we don't want really to make it visible, and as you can see it becomes actually it's almost instantly decluttered. But we have a problem, and this problem is this wall is too bright. and there are no those defined shadows coming from all of the elements. Yes, I can go and recreate everything. Basically what I can do is if you want really to achieve the ultimate representation of this space, you can do this. Basically you can create an object, a second object, and you can basically move those, you can make them there, they can, you know, to resemble absolutely the entire scene, which I am doing right now. And obviously I'm spending additional time just for the sake of this tutorial, guys, not because I'm doing this in real life, in real projects, because there's no time for this thing. But sometimes there's time. It depends. It depends. If you want really to become professional, you have to spend time. If you don't spend time doing your craft as it should be done, you're not professional. You're just somebody who learned virtual staging by watching George's YouTube channel, which is a stranger from the internet. You just select all of those elements which you've created and just apply this material to them. And as you can see, we are going to create some defined shadows here, but not really. I mean, for this to work, you have to spend time, guys, to make it work. Otherwise, it will not work. This is why, what I'll do now, I will deselect those parts of the walls, and I will retain my shadow capture material there. Boom. And now I have already preserved my shadows. It's super effective, and they're not much different because naturally this part of the wall is in shadow and mine is in shadow as well. What I can do and I will do is, as you can see, there is a difference. I'm not sure if you can see it because of the video. Probably the coder will downgrade the quality of this, but what I'll do is I'll go here and I will pick my wall color here, boom, and as you can see, it's not really the same thing, so we have to visually tweak this, like something like this. I think this is more or less almost the same thing, and obviously it needs a little bit more blue tint here. Yeah, I think it's, let's say 225. Yeah, and voila, we have done the perfect match. Yeah, it's not the perfect match, I can see, but the good thing here, guys, is you can readjust easily. Just click this button, this magical button, preserve UVs, because you don't want to destroy your wall UVs. What I've done here, because if you don't click this button and if I start amending the wall, look what happens. Look, it's a mess. But if I click the button, if I start moving this, my UVs are preserved, so you can readjust. And obviously, as you can see, we have, yeah, my line is where it should be. So now what I have to do is just go in, just extend this part up to here, and if I try to render again, yep, we have perfect match. But always we have the possibility and the chance to go back in Photoshop and fix that problem, so it's not really a problem. So I'm going to save again, and now we have removed all of the stuff which you can see at the back. This is one of the fastest way, and maybe it's the best way, but it's not the best way for you to represent the space. Obviously this is really in terms of a walls, it's a simple space because it's just a white. But if it's a wallpaper, for example, something really complex, you cannot really do that unless you extract the wallpaper material. You can make it seamless in Photoshop, and then you're going to reapply this. Some of the virtual staging projects, they have to be started in Photoshop, and others like this one can start directly in 3ds Max because of the difference in those images. I have prepared already a ton of other projects where we're gonna start in many different ways. Some of them they will start in 3ds Max, some of them they will start in Photoshop, and others will start in a different program, which I will not tell you which one is it right now because it's a secret. I'm waiting to achieve basically 1000 subscribers, and as soon as we hit this 1000 subscribers, I'll start recording more super advanced virtual staging tutorials. Yes, this is not the super advanced technique actually. This is the for beginners, but for professional beginners. And let's turn back. As you can see here, I've misaligned a little bit my wall, and so what you can do really is just click this wall and move it over there to represent really the edge of this wall. And now that's moved, doesn't matter really, because in I can do this. I know I don't have to do it here because it's not really professional, but for the sake of this tutorial you won't tell anybody, right? You'll keep it secret between us. And I'm going to move this over there, and I'll try to every time I do that, every time I click this start interactive rendering, and it's a pain. So okay, now we have to try and find really nice bedroom model here. Here's my plan. For every virtual staging project, I always start with the mood board. But because starting with mood board and planning design styles is really advanced thing, which is I'm keeping for later in the stage of this channel, I will briefly explain you what is my initial thought about this room. I'm going to put the bedroom here somewhere, and then I'll maybe create a small dresser here or chest of drawers with a painting and another painting over there, or maybe this painting will move here. We'll see. I'll add a plant here. This plant should be green. And I'll add a plant here, like in a vase. A couple of decors here. And that should be it. Maybe a nightstand here or a side table. We'll see. Basically this time it won't be seen, but even if you see just a tiny bit the leg of the nightstand, it will be enough. And I'll add a lampshade here which will match the one here, and that will be it. I think it will be super enough for this room. So let's go back and find some of the 3D models which I meant to use for this room. And I have already imported one of the bedroom sets I've got, and I've paired it, and it's contemporary one, although I have to tweak some of the colors here, some of the textures have to be changed. Something really interesting which I've noticed in the past couple of years, obviously the virtual staging companies increased in numbers, but the quality decreased. And I suppose this is because many people are not really familiar with any interior design style scheme, so they are not really professionals in that sort of a matter, but they learn how to drag and drop 3D furniture. And one thing makes me sad, and this is not really the general purpose of the virtual staging. Virtual staging is intended to help buyers to visualize and to basically connect with the property, but for this to happen, you have really to provide them something cool. I mean, something viable, something which will work even if in real life. Most of the companies, I'm not saying all of the virtual stagers do that, and I know this might seem like a critic. It's not really, actually it is a professional criticism. I allow myself to criticize openly because this is why I started this channel, to improve, basically to change this, to change the quality and to raise the prices of virtual staging, because I can see how many companies are fighting over the lowest prices. Of course, if you're providing shit, and probably I have to remove this from the channel as a, yeah, it's not right. That's it, it's not right. I mean, if you don't want to drop the prices, just provide better quality service, and which brings value to the clients. That's it. And then nobody will ask you to lower the prices. Simple as that. So while I'm talking, I'm changing some of those stuff, and I really don't like. I mean, obviously we have already enough. The light outside is not in this image is not really bright, so we have to change those paintings because it's no those darks. Those dark paintings are really not. And yeah, so basically they're just not right. Use it. I mean, yeah, everybody has to learn to earn. Sorry, not to learn, to earn their living. But I mean, to earn a living, at least you have to be a professional. Otherwise, you're not really earning anything. You're just undermining the entire profession and the entire sector. As simple as that. So I've just changed this. Sometimes you have to go and open the image or just click update, because 3ds Max, if you're rendering like me constantly in real time, it just 3ds Max is occupied by rendering this but not rendering those materials. Yeah, that's it basically. And I'll add AO to most of the materials, by the way, because without AO most materials seem flat. If it's just a color, like really basic material, it seems flat. As you can see, I've added this, and immediately you can see, this is by the way a shadow, but you can see here how it's just more distinctive. And I'll go and change the other painting, and I'll be back in a second. And I'm back here, and I've changed this, so it's nice and bright. It reminds of a summer days somewhere. It's really cool. So what is one of the things you have to keep in mind when adding paintings? They have to match your overall scheme. I can show you at least 90% of the virtually staged images which I've seen online, and they're everywhere. The paintings, they don't really match the theme. I mean, they are just drag and drop paintings. I know this is again my criticism, but it is really a problem in this profession, guys. And not only in this profession, it's everywhere. By the way, here is what happens if I activate the reflection on this. As you can see here, our we have a glass on top of this, but it's not really visible because any of the lights are not casting reflections. As you can see, it's just little bit, I know it's not much, but little bit increased the perception of having a glass there. If you want to increase this perception more, just go inside the painting. Obviously the best way is just to add a second plane and really recreate that glass, but I don't really have time. So what I'll do is I'll increase the Fernal, the IOR Fernal material, and as you can see, it's already been perceived. But I think I reckon that's too much, and we don't want 0.9, we want 3, and now we can see, we can read the glass, in the glass, the reflections from this window there. And I'll do the same. It's over 3, I know, and as you can see, it pops up. Now we can read basically little bit from the the light here. The problem we've got now is, because this is basically a box with applied screen image, basically each of the walls, and the entire scene is just one image replicated a billion times after the camera. So the shadow capture material works in a way that everything we see through the camera is okay. Everything which we don't see through the camera is not okay. It's like repetitive mix mash of textures, one texture basically, our backdrop. That's why we see this second lampshade over there. We can fix that by going here. Where is my, I've lost it. I think I have to find it again. Boom. Okay, it's here. So we can fix that by adding something like a second map. If we've got, for example, a second image from this room, we can add it here. Reflection override, and it will change the reflections of this with what we've got. Sometimes I don't do that because I simply don't have time. But as you can see, we have off-screen map, and this off-screen map, basically what it does is it fixes, basically it projects the same image onto the everything what is behind the camera, and any of those settings will not change the reflection. So the only way we can change that is to play with the reflection of the material, or we can erase this virtually in Photoshop. So basically I'll go and decrease the reflectivity of this painting. I know it looks great, but just this is not right. So if I decrease it a little bit, or maybe return it to the normal, it will almost disappear. But I've lost my really this perception of the painting being like with the glass on top of it, which is cool, by the way. But I agree, maybe it's too much, so I'll leave it like by default. And quickly now I'll add this chest of drawer with some paintings and flowers, and I'll be back. And I'm back. So I've added this chest of drawers and a couple of decors which I think are appropriate for this room, and I have to obviously change this to match the entirety. But let's first render and see what we have here. Obviously we have a dark let's call it a blue color, which comes because I've imported this from the SketchUp library. I'm going to change, actually I like this color actually, and I'll change the material to chrome material. Obviously it became gray because I'm using this. Basically this is it's a material which I've created and I've saved in my library, and basically this library is one of the libraries I use for virtual staging, but I've got like I don't know, maybe 15 other libraries for different types of virtual staging images. Yeah, and I'm going to put this color here, and I will go and select one of the colors from those images. Maybe this one, maybe the turquoise color is something like this. Oh, that's too intense for my eyes. We don't want to create anything intense in colors, just slight variations of colors which will work. And I'm going to create this as a highly reflective material. We want to create some reflectivity to see something there, not just boring materials. And what we are lacking right now, basically what I think I should do is this wood. I like it, and it provides like a visual distinction. It basically separates the image into two parts, and it will make you like explore more of the details of this room. Because what we want to create with the virtual staging is we want to convey feelings. We want to make those people go and see the space, not just okay, this is a stupid image from 1995 and nobody just I don't want to rumble. So as you can see, the physical materials which they come with by default, they work perfectly fine, but just I've discovered with the time that the rendering speed might decrease. In this case I'm using just two materials, so it won't be such a problem. And I want this to be something bright because it's like to I don't know, detract from the viewers from viewing the rest of the space. And obviously, actually, why not, let's create it something like this yellow, maybe brighter yellow, and add a little bit of brightness and increase the reflectivity to make it stand out more. As you can see, because if I have some reflections here in the light above, we can see them here. This creates really nice separation. Obviously something is lacking details here. As you can see, this is really detailed shape, but it is not defined, and this is why I don't like to not use AO. I know it's additional time. It takes time to apply the AO, it takes time to go inside, to apply the colors, to find the best value, blah 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 blah, but it provides details, which is the thing we want. to see in our images. Details, tons of details. This is what we have to aim to achieve. And as you can see, the image is becoming nicely. First I have to change, actually it's not first, but I have to change now this massive dark bed rest, backrest, or whatever you like to use, to something more bright. And if I go here and I'm going to see, wow, this is really dark. I'll change this material and I'll be back in a second. So I've used this, I've just changed to something more neutral, like this almost gray color, like an almost gray fabric. It improved little bit, but because of the complexity of this material, it would take a little bit more time to change it. And what I've done is I'm just changing my texture maps. I've changed the texture maps here as well. And what we see here, I think this is way too dark, but basically this is the back of this. Yeah, I think we should create something like that. Yeah, that looks better actually. In Photoshop, we're gonna increase the brightness of this material, so I don't want to spend more time on this because it's taking way too much time than I anticipated. And I'm going to change this and I'll be back again. And I prefer to use white fabrics, whatever is possible. And I have to change this as well because it's way too dark, or maybe only this detailed throw. It needs more brighter colors, obviously. Let me see, what is it here? Wow, it is nice and interesting, but the colors are not really suitable. So what we can do is really to go into the color mode. I really don't like 3ds Max color correction node because it's so slow. Basically I have to wait 5 seconds until it loads. So what I'm doing always, and I'm making sure to change it to the Corona, and I'll replace, basically I'll discard the entire thing and I'll plug back the map. As you can see, Corona ones is so quick, it's super snappy, and bam, that will be different now. And I can just add a little bit of warmth or maybe cold type of color here. Yeah, this is starting to look okay. I'll increase the brightness and actually like it that way. And I'll probably have to change the this duvet here as the first material, which is, where is it? I know some of you are using the compact material editor. The other day I had a video call with one of you, and he was saying that he was a little bit lost and confused with those slate materials. So what basically the compact and the slate, the difference between those two is, it's really simple. Here everything is stacked. You don't see the connection between, in the relation between all those maps combined in one material. In the slate material, you see everything outlined. I see all the maps visually connected to the main map. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'll use the compact material to edit this material here. So I'm gonna pick it. As you can see, this is my map, and I have to go inside, and I have to click again, and I have to click again to find it. I have to click again. Basically it's way too many clicks. If you use slate material, on the other hand, I'll click once. I'm seeing where material is. This is the visual representation of number 1. As you can see, one here, one is over there. And what I have to do really is just to go at the end and find it. Or I don't want to change, basically to use this color correct node. I just set it. I'm going to remove it and use the Corona one. And that's it, job done. It's way quicker to use a slate material when you have complex materials. Yes, if you have really simple materials, like for example just white color, like this is really simple material. It's faster because the compact material keeps on your screen less materials, and it loads faster because it doesn't show all of the materials from the scene. But it's when you have complex materials, when you have to amend multiple or several complex materials, it's more difficult to work with. At least I find it to be more difficult to work with. So I think, guys, this image is almost ready, but I think it basically what we can create here is we can go to this lamp. Let me have a sip of my coffee. I'm back, and so I think maybe we have to create more defined shadows with this lamp. So I've picked the shadow on the lamp, and I've just directionality means that you're directing the light rays from this lamp. If they are 0, as you can see, the shadows are not they're soft. If I put them to 1, like literally my light became a light torch, like a beam, like one light beam, like for the Batman one. But if you stay between 0.3 0.6, your light has really nice, as you can see here, it increased the central part of the where the light emits light, and the shadows are more well defined, which create more defined shadows, create more details for our viewers to see. And then additionally, I'll change the intensity of the light. Basically, I want to create warmth, but this is way too much. So basically, I'll return to 5500. Maybe I'm saying I'm going to increase a little bit our light here, because nothing is stopping us. This is virtual staging, and if we can convey better feeling by increasing this light, why not? But this is way too much, and it basically steals the viewer from the main ideology behind the image. So I'll keep it around 20. It's still maybe 25, and I'll play in Photoshop a little bit. What I don't like is that this color is like represents a third dark tone in our image, so maybe I will change this to something more bright, because typically in small bedrooms you don't have to use lots of dark colors, because they become not really pleasant for looking, especially on images. And I've changed the color. I know it's not the best one, but we will fix this basically, guys, don't worry. The mapping is wrong, obviously, because it was a different color. I can return this. This is the quickest way to create a new mapping. I'm sorry for that. Corona is doing this from time to time, but still the mapping at the bottom is not right. So I'm going to fix the mapping with the UVW map, which is really simple way for beginners to fix basically the mapping of any other objects. And yeah, you have to press 1 or activate the gizmo, press R to activate the scale, and then you can start playing with the scale of this image. Obviously this image is not seamless, so keep it off the limits. So basically don't show that the viewer this is not scaled image, because in our nature everything is scaled or uniform, or you cannot really see repetitiveness. I suppose you can see, but it just, you don't have to see it, let's say it that way. Something really interesting is I don't have to go, if I want to fix the UV double mapping on this one, on this object, I don't have to go, and I can of course and go and find it, but what I can do as well is click select my previous object and just drag the UV double map on top of the new one. Obviously I have to, you can press Shift A, and this is basically a quick align, and click here. It will return your bounding box at the center of your object, because sometimes when you play with the UV double mapping, this thing goes miles away from your origin scene because of the map and because of everything how in 3ds Max works. But yeah, you should not be afraid of using this. I'm going to blink, and as you can see, everything magically is fixed now. And I'll try to render again. And I think I have to just this little bit, only tiny bit, desaturate this color. It's way too much for my what I have done. It should be maps, Corona, color correct map, and bam. So I'm going to put something like saturation -2 or minus, let's say 0.3, and increase the brightness little bit, and maybe not. As you can see here at the bottom, we lost too much of the colors. I just want it yep, that's perfect. So basically what I think those why this gesture drawer has two different materials. Yeah, basically, yeah, it has two different separate materials, which is really strange, and I want to create this. Yeah, perfect. This is what I wanted to achieve, and now it looks way more better than this. And in Photoshop I'll fix that, and I think this is fine. Oh, I've missed the lampshade. I'm going to add the lampshade now, and I'll be back in a second. And I'm back, and this is my lampshade, and it, by the way, this is again from the SketchUp library. Guys, if you're not using the 3D warehouse, go and use it, because you can find awesome models there. There are 80 million users of using SketchUp, so I think you should take advantage of it. Of course, not 80 million users are super professionals, but doesn't matter. I mean, you need at least 1% of those to be professionals, which you upload. I do upload models as well to the SketchUp library, and yeah, why not using it? I'm going to change the material. Basically, by the way, if you don't want to spend time on changing manually all of the materials, what you can do really is you can go to the Corona converter and just click Start Conversion. With this button selected, everything will be converted to Corona materials, of course. In this case, that's not the case, and I suppose this is a bug. So what you have to do is really collect the materials and select materials of the selected objects only, and it will convert them for sure. And if I select now, wow, okay, now try with the scene maps and materials and maps only, and I suppose, yeah, maybe it's a serious hardcore bug. So yeah, of course, it's sometimes the software doesn't work, and that's perfectly fine because it's made by humans and we make mistakes, so we have to be forgiven. I make mistakes as well. Or, like most of the times, what I do, I just pick one of the other materials for my scene, I reuse the material. That's it. It's just, why not? And by the way, while I'm doing this, let me know down in the comments if you like this type of tutorials where I don't speed up anything, I talk, even if I'm rumbling sometimes, if I talk stupid things. Let me know if this is more helpful to you than the short version of tutorials, because this will really improve the entire channel. I mean, I want to make a positive change in all of you guys. This is my idea of this channel. I know it's taking some time for me to come back with more tutorials. It's just purely, it's really demanding, and we have lots of work at work. And yeah, so thank you for participating, and thank you for leaving comments. But if you can write more comments, leave a like, subscribe, it will help even more to promote this channel to a broader audience. And once we grow above certain level, I'll start, as I said, above 1,000 subscribers, I'll start posting more advanced tutorials. Basically what we'll create is we'll create two separate playlists, where one of them will be for beginners, where they can start and nurture their journey from the beginning, and the other one will be for those of us who have already walked that road and they want to learn something more. So what I'm creating right now is just this light inside the lampshade, because I want to cast light there. I think it will be a little bit maybe little nice not Easter egg, but nice thing to have. And of course I want my lampshade to be a little bit transparent. So what I'll do is I'll change this physical material to Corona. I don't like working with physical materials much because Corona doesn't like them as well. That's why I don't like them. I don't mind the physical materials. In the AO, as you can see, the light shade is a bit dark, so I'll just make it 2. And additionally, I will put this map into the color of the translucency, and I'll increase the translucency to 0 point something. You have to just see which is going to work. So keep in mind, without this material being in a ray switch material, it will steal a little bit of your rendering time. And this is something which you have to be aware of. Every translucent or opaque material with opacity or volumetrics or self-illumination will steal some of your rendering time. And this is fine unless you're overuse the materials, because if you overuse them, your render will become so slow. Basically it's not viable to wait more than 50 to 20 minutes per render. And additionally, because I really like this fall off effect of when I add a fall off map onto any of the materials, like those shades, it creates really nice effect of the light, how it's like wraps around the object, wraps around the fabric. I like it. It's perfect. And this is, I really like this small lamp. I think maybe we have to decrease a little bit to create some like a red glowing spot there for the viewer to explore. And now this part of the scene has become a little bit sad. I don't know why everything drives to this lamp. Maybe, why not, we can try and do this. So what I'll do is I'll select both both objects. I'll deselect the lamp and I'll go and press attach, and I'll select my lamp as a group. Basically I'll attach the lamp to the group of the lamp, and I will make a copy. And now I'm not saying this is permanent, I'm just gonna try something. Do you like how this is sitting there? I think we can really try and readjust a little bit this. Maybe we have to remove this for now. Just for now. As you know, sometimes it takes time for us to find the perfect spot and the perfect balance of those virtual stagings, and this is completely fine. And this is actually what you should be doing. You don't have to use again drag and drop catalogs, because there are some available, but the quality of them and it's just, you don't really improve anything. You just become delusional that you think it's doing no help to you. And I think basically we can move this lamp here. Let me tell you what we are going to do. I will return everything. This is fine, but I'll move this lamp to the other way of the bed. It will not be visible, but it will cast enough light for the bedside, like for this backrest, and for the duvet and everything. Or maybe what we can do as well is, actually, here's a little cool trick. If you want to basically work in this style, basically, if I try to exit the entire camera, basically if I try to change the perspective of the camera, my viewport, it will exit from the camera. 3ds Max will start rendering whatever you have selected right now. But if I'm in my viewport, I select my camera. As you obviously you have to click here, you have to select your camera to be like to show through the camera, and then you can go here and lock basically the view to render. Now if I'm in this view here, I can press render and I'll see only what the camera sees, so I can really go and readjust the light however I want. And what I'll do is I'll click open, I'll get rid of the light, and I'll basically rotate. Oh, it was a sphere. Okay, so I'll create this light, I'll basically make it unique, and I'll create a disk light out of it. And what I want to create is I want to cast additional light onto this side of the bed. And I think it's 3ds Max is playing me tricks, and I have to stop the rendering for now, and I have to make sure this to happen. I can increase the size of the lamp and go back and start rendering. As you can see here, watch, tada. I think it looks nice. It looks like I like it. I think this virtual staging is concluded, guys. So what I can do now is I'm going to save everything, and I will add my render elements. If you're not sure what are those, go and watch any of the other videos on the channel, and you'll find a really nice explanation there. I'll add my noise limit. It's almost every time 3 minutes, and I'll add the denoising, and maybe the direct visibility override. I'll include that. Basically this option means that when the camera starts rendering, whatever everything which is not 3D object will be black. And this is what I want, because I don't want to impose a different materials, a different light, and anything onto the image which haven't worked with. So it means those parts here, I don't need to have this in my plate, and it will still more of my time working Photoshop. And now I'll render that, and I'll be back in a second in Photoshop, where we're gonna merge and compile the entire image with the original image, and that will be it. And we are back in Photoshop. So the idea here is very simple. I've already loaded my JPEG, PNG, and ID in the form of the PNG as well, as you can see, like this one. So the first in line, it should be the JPEG. Then you have to have the PNG file, and then at the top is your ID material, and you'll see why. For now, I don't really need to see this, and what I'll do is I'll create a mask, and I'll basically turn everything into black. So what I'm seeing right now is only my PNG color. So for this to work really, I see here we have to fix a little bit this wall here by deleting the chair frame, the chair backrest, or whatever is the element there. I can't really remember, so I'm going to really stamp this. Okay, I think it's fine. And then we have this problem here, which I will fix by just creating another line, like something like this, and I will use maybe 35% of the opacity. It's more clicking, but it makes the colors to blend better with the rest. As you can see, if you can hear, my mouse is like clicking 1,000 times per second. Yeah, and this is almost done. Now I have to invert this basically and work more on this side. As you can see, I think the opacity of 30 is maybe it's the correct one, but just the scale is, it should be less. And yeah, okay, I'm holding shift, by the way. I've selected one of the areas I want to copy and spread across, and I'm holding shift up and down, which basically makes does the job done. By doing this, it's really quick way to clone huge areas, which I think it's not perfect really. As you can see, there's a line here, but actually nobody will notice because they don't know what's the original image. They will never see the original image. Sometimes you have to ask the person you're working with if they are going to show the original images. So if this is the fact, then you have to make sure you're doing really good job with your masking, because I can see I have not really good job. I haven't done a really good job here, so I have to fix this problem by masking additionally those edges, which they are not really nice. And yeah, job done. So I think my room can get little bit of the intensity which is coming from the outside. That's only tiny bit, by the way, tiny bit. We don't want to burn everything. As you can see, there's a strange dark line there. So with the lower opacity and yeah, I'll basically make it 30, and I'm going to remove this line, or maybe I have to create a line here and I'll remove this. And as you can see, it's really easy because we have much close to the original colors of our room, our 3D walls, so it's not very hard to make it blend. As you can see, I've destroyed a little bit my because my brush was too large, and it like interfered with the original room. As you can see, now we see something strange is happening here, and this is like a color bleeding from the bottom from the old room where it had got loads of stuff here. So what we can do in this case is we can go here and select the ceiling basically, and add one notch of desaturation just to remove this color. Obviously I don't want to desaturate my lamp, so I will just return the lamp color here. I don't want this to be like super color bleeded. And obviously, as you can see, maybe I'm not sure, yeah, I think something. But it is really crucial to not destroy the contrast between the original walls. And I know that you cannot really see the contrast between the original walls, but trust me, the human eye is capable of seeing even details which are not supposed to be there. So actually I'm even thinking to leave my walls as they are and return some of the information which I've removed here, because I think it's like you can see something is wrong. Or I can go and select the the walls, and change the color balance, for example, by presenting little bit of this blue hint which is found in the original. But we have a problem again, and the problem is we cannot really change anything, because as you can see into the original image, because there's so many details, there's different types of light. For example, here is warm, here is not, it's colder, here is warm again, we have white shadow. It's a mashup of many intensity and color saturation, such like color lights and it's a mashup. So I will remove this entirely. maybe. And actually I don't want to remove it entirely, or maybe selectively I will return some of the information from those walls here. And because I'm working with low opacity brush, it will not make the full adjustment as it was with the original wall, which is fine, and this is what we need. And I think it is looking alright, maybe a little bit bright than expected. I think now, do you think this is looking... Oh, I think this is looking alright actually. But no, not really. The ceiling looks more brighter than it should be. I know, even though in the original image is not different than what we've used here, but actually maybe, yeah, I think this is more or less fine. Yeah, and we have some work to do here. We don't want to basically to interfere with these colors of the light lamp shade. Maybe that's fine. We'll fix this issue with a little bit more contrast. Let's change the color of the bed rest here, and because I think it's way too dark, and actually it's nice, but maybe it needs a little bit contrast. I like to deliver contrast with curves, otherwise if you just do the contrast module here, it's not going to work because it will just burn everything. I'm going to select that selection as well, and I'll introduce a little bit of the desaturation and lightness, and I'll additionally increase again the contrast. Oh, that's the wrong one. It was this one. Yeah, I think it looks better. It looks like more light is casted onto this. It's better defined. And additionally, this fella here needs some work as well to be done. Probably another curve will do just fine. Something similar, something like that. Because of the light comes from this is a huge window, by the way, and it's really nice how the ambient light is coming into the room. This part should be brighter as well. The raw render is darker, but I didn't want to add additional lights, which for things I know I can fix in Photoshop easily just by moving some curves here and there. And for the next step is, let's fix basically the color for the carpet. What I'll do here is I'll select this color and I'll just create additional layer which will be filled with this new color. What happened here? Bum. And then I'll select the floor and I'll apply a mask here, and this is going to be my floor. I'm joking. So I need just to paint to use the color information from this to basically to be transmitted to the floor. But additionally, what I want to achieve here, because I think this color now looks like closer to the original, but we've lost any details because if you remember, that was a quick one. So what we need to do now is probably add additional curve to the original floor, basically, which was this one. Now this is the original floor, so we need to add additional curve just to extract a little bit of more details of those details back into the image, something like this, for example. And if you ask me, this I could have done this better by just adding displays here, and basically I can achieve exactly the same thing, but nobody will ever notice, because as soon as it's the same color and has little bit of details, is fine. And on top of that, I don't really know how bad is the dark carpet. So you should never fix things with virtual staging which are like fixtures of the property. They should not be touched. So if you see stains on the walls, you can ask your client if you are going to if you can change those, or if you can remove or wash them away or something like that. But just make sure to not fix anything which it's permanent there. I suppose this is looking better. I know it's not the original color, but it's looking more pleasant to the eyes. Actually, it's very close to the what we need to achieve. And the final thing we should do is little bit of the sharpness. Maybe unsharp mask will work just fine to get basically more just outlined details, but not much. Maybe 50% will do. And again, I'll compile this and use the camera raw filter to increase slightly the colors of this room, and maybe I'll grab the brush and paint just one slight stroke this side, which will be slightly in the colder shades, and I'll paint one light stroke, but not as an additional, but as a new one on this side. But this, it will be warmer. As you can see, +5 is too much, maybe +2 is fine. And additionally, I see here that's, maybe I'll add another one here, and I'll remove all the lighting, but I'll increase maybe the shadows because they're way too much. I'll see. Let me see what happened here. It has to be 0. Yeah, it's way too dark, this part of the image, and we don't want any underexposed or overexposed areas, so we have to make sure there is a fine balance. Everything should be like a dance between the colors and the shadows and the light. Maybe, what do you think, guys? Is this looking fine for you? I mean, what do you think? Does it look changed and great? I mean, I think to me this looks really pleasant to the eyes, as you can see if I made it smaller. So let's call it a job done. That's it all for today, guys. I hope you like this tutorial. 1.5 hours. It might be super long for some, it might be very short for others. Let me know down in the comments what do you think of this video format. If you like the type of the content which is really long and winded and very, it's just there's no time skips except of me loading files, which is just a waste of time. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think about this, and see you soon. Ciao.